The medicine man, Tunde, pulled his hand away from Nneka's feverish forehead. His eyes, deep and knowing, swept across the worried faces in the small mud brick room in the village of Ijenu on a hot Tuesday afternoon in March. They settled on Mama Ijenu. His voice was a low rumble, like distant thunder. Someone is poisoning your daughter. Someone who brings her water and food. Someone who smiles while she watches her fade. A gasp ripped through the room. Nneka's sister, Uchenna, who had been kneeling faithfully by the sleeping mat, clutching Nneka's limp hand, let out a sharp cry. No. Who would do this? I will find them. I will tear them apart. Tears streamed down Uchenna's cheeks. She buried her face in the mat, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Everyone looked at her with pity. Such a devoted sister. But Tunde's ancient eyes lingered on Uchenna's trembling back for a second too long. Little did anyone know, the person crying the loudest was the one holding the poison. The question hung in the air, thick and terrible. Who could it be? Hello, welcome to the Echoes from the Baobab Tree. Kindly support the channel by subscribing to the channel, like and share with your loved ones. Let's continue the story. Let me tell you how this tragedy began. Our story starts 2 months earlier, in January, in the same village of Ijenu, nestled in the heart of Nigeria's lush green forest. The air smelled of blooming flowers and fresh earth. 2 sisters, Nneka and Uchenna, lived with their mother, Mama Ijenu. From the outside, they were like 2 beautiful flowers on the same branch. Nneka, at 19, woke with the sun, her voice singing praises to God as she swept the compound clean. Her laughter was light, like bells, and it drew people to her. Uchenna, just a year older, watched. She watched the neighbors give Nneka the ripest mangoes. She watched the young men offer to carry her firewood. One afternoon, Uchenna was grinding peppers for soup, her movements sharp and angry. Nneka sat nearby, mending a cloth. Why does everyone love you so much? Uchenna suddenly asked, the stone in her hand pounding harder. Nneka looked up, her gentle brown eyes confused. Love me. They love us, sister. We are family. That answer was like pouring oil on the fire in Uchenna's heart. It wasn't true, and they both knew it. The village adored Nneka's kind spirit, while they only tolerated Uchenna's sharp tongue and jealous glances. The sisters shared blood, but they lived in different worlds. The real trouble started in early February. A message spread through Ijenu like wildfire. The handsome and wealthy university student, Emeka, was returning from Lagos to find a wife. Every unmarried girl's heart fluttered. Emeka's family owned vast palm oil plantations. He was kind, smart, and had a smile that could melt stone. Uchenna saw her chance. Finally, she could have something magnificent, something that would make the village see her as the special one. She dreamed of being chosen first, for once. The very next market day, Emeka came to their compound. He said he was visiting neighbors with his father. But his eyes, those intelligent, smiling eyes, kept finding Nneka as she politely served them kolanut. He asked Nneka about her sewing, about the songs she sang in church. Nneka answered shyly, looking at the ground. Uchenna pushed forward, laughing loudly, telling jokes, making sure Emeka saw her. But his gaze always drifted back to Nneka's modest smile. A cold knot tightened in Uchenna's stomach. She saw it happening again. Her sister, without even trying, was still in her dream. That night, envy ate at Uchenna like a hungry spider. She lay on the mat she shared with Nneka, listening to her sister's peaceful breathing. The darkness seemed to whisper to her. You will always be second. She will take him too, unless you stop her. A dangerous idea, black and slippery, began to form in Uchenna's mind. She thought of old Mama Eo, who lived at the edge of the forest. People whispered she knew things, could make potions for love, or for making a rival lose her charm. 2 days later, Uchenna found herself in Mama Eo's dark, absented hut. The old woman's eyes gleamed. What does your heart desire, child? A pull towards you, or a push away from another? Uchenna's voice was a dry leaf in the wind. Both. Mama Ao nodded slowly. She gave Uchenna two things, a small red powder in a leaf packet. A pinch in his drink, his heart will warm to you. Then, a tiny gourd with a dark, oily liquid. 3 drops in her morning water. Only 3. It will make her tired, weak for the wedding season. By the time she is well, his choice will be made. Uchenna took them, her hands icy cold. What was she doing? For a week, Uchenna carried the poison like a burning coal in her pocket. She watched Emeka visit again, bringing a book for Nneka. She saw the gentle way they talked. The red powder for Emeka felt wrong now, she couldn't use it. But the god for Nneka, it called to her fear. On a quiet Sunday morning, with the family at the river washing clothes, Uchenna stood alone in their kitchen. The water pot for the day sat by the hearth. This was her moment of choice. Her hand shook violently as she uncorked the gourd. Just 3 drops, she thought. Just a little weakness, that's all. But the voice of envy screamed in her head. What if 3 drops are not enough? What if she still shines? Panic and jealousy twisted together. Uchenna's hand tipped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The dark liquid streamed into the clean water, swirling and then disappearing. Horror flooded Uchenna. She had done it. She had poisoned the water. She stumbled outside, her heart pounding like a drum of war. An hour later, the family returned. Nneka, smiling and singing, scooped water from the pot and drank deeply to quench her thirst. Uchenna watched, frozen, from the doorway. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then Nneka clutched her stomach. Her song cut off. A wave of pain crossed her face. Mama, she whispered, before her eyes rolled back and she collapsed onto the hard earth. Mama Ijenu screamed. Uchenna's own scream joined hers, a perfect mask of terror. As they rushed to Nneka's side, Uchenna's mind raced. This was much worse than she planned. The poison was working too fast, too hard. What had she done? And as Bobaton would soon reveal, the killer was right there in the room, crying the hardest. With Nneka's life hanging by a thread and a terrible secret hiding in plain sight. The air in the small room in Ijenu village grew deathly still after Bobaton's accusation. Uchenna's fake sobs caught in her throat. Mama Ijenu's eyes, wide with shock, darted from the medicine man to her daughter Uchenna, still kneeling by Nneka's mat. Someone, close. Mama Ijenu whispered. Uchenna felt the weight of every stare. She sprang to her feet, her face a mask of perfect outrage. How dare you, she shouted at Bobaton, her finger trembling as she pointed. Are you saying it is me? Me, who has barely slept. Me, who has prayed every hour. She turned to the neighbors crowded at the door. He is a fraud. He cannot save her, so he makes up lies. But inside, her heart was a trapped, frantic animal. The game was up. What would she do now? Let us go back to the terrible hours after Nneka first collapsed. The village was in an uproar. Nneka, the beloved daughter, was rushed to the local clinic. The young doctor, Dr. Choku, worked frantically. He called it a severe, mysterious infection. But the medicines did nothing. Nneka faded in and out of consciousness, her skin burning, her body racked with pain. Uchenna never left the clinic porch. She wept, she prayed aloud, she brought the clean clothes Mama Ijenu requested. She was the picture of a devoted sister. Emeka came, his face pale with worry. He saw Uchenna's red, crying eyes and touched her shoulder. Your love for her is strong, he said kindly. Uchenna nodded, burying her face in her hands to hide her shame. His kindness felt worse than a slap. Inside the clinic, Nneka had a moment of clarity. She was alone with Mama Ijenu. Her voice was a thin thread. "Mama, the water from our pot this morning, it tasted bitter." Mama Ijenu, wiping her brow, nodded. "Rest, my child. Do not worry about water." But a tiny seed of doubt was planted in Mama Ijenu's heart. She remembered Uchenna volunteering to fetch water alone the night before. She remembered Uchenna's strange, frantic energy lately. A mother's intuition began to whisper terrible things. Back in the present, in the room with Tunde, the silence was breaking. Mama Ijenu spoke, her voice hard as stone. "Tunde, how does this poison work?" The old man knelt, opening his bag of cowrie shells and bones. "It is a slow poison, made from the seeds of the oleander bush and the bark of the dark-root tree. It is mixed with palm oil. It must be given daily, little by little, in food or drink. The giver must be very close." He looked straight at Uchenna. "It causes the stomach to burn, the heart to weaken. It makes the victim tired, then very sick, and then," he did not finish. Everyone knew. Uchenna felt the walls closing in. She had to run. Just as Uchenna took a step back, a weak voice came from the mat. "Uchenna," it was Nneka. Her eyes were half open, glazed with fever, but they were fixed on her sister. You gave me the water. You said it would cool my fever." The room exploded in murmurs. Uchenna's mask finally cracked. "She is delirious. She does not know what she is saying." But the truth was out now, spoken by the victim herself. The neighbors' looks of pity turned to confusion, then to dawning horror. "Empty her bag," shouted one of the aunties. Before Uchenna could stop her, a woman grabbed the small bag Uchenna carried. She turned it upside down. Out tumbled a small, empty wooden gourd. It rolled on the floor and stopped at Tunde's feet. He picked it up, sniffed it, and his face darkened. "This is the vessel. It smells of the dark root. The one who owns this is the poisoner." All eyes locked on Uchenna. Her lies were over. The evidence was there for all to see. Uchenna did the only thing she could think of. She ran. She shoved through the crowd at the door and burst out into the bright afternoon sun. She ran past the stunned children, past the cooking huts, toward the dense forest that bordered the village. Angry shouts followed her. "Witch! Evil sister! Stop her!" But she was fast, fueled by fear and shame. She disappeared into the green shadows of the trees, leaving behind the village in shock and a sister on the edge of death. Back in the room, chaos turned to focused action. With the poison identified, Tunde and Dr. Choku, who had been called, now worked together. Tunde prepared a strong antidote from bitter herbs and white clay. Dr. Choku gave medicine to protect Nneka's heart. Mama Ijenu held her daughter's hand, crying tears of rage and grief. "My own child," she wept. "My own flesh did this." Emeka arrived and heard the full story. His kind face turned to stone. The jealousy he had once pitied was now a monstrous crime. For 3 days and nights, Nneka fought for her life. The poison had done deep damage. In the forest, Uchenna lived like a hunted animal, eating wild berries, drinking from muddy streams, jumping at every sound. She was hungry, thirsty, and utterly alone with the ghost of what she had done. She could hear the village drums sometimes, and she wondered if they were for Nneka's recovery, or for her funeral. Guilty tears washed her dirty face. She had wanted to dim Nneka's light, but she had tried to extinguish it completely. And for what? Emeka would never look at her now. She had lost everything. On the 4th morning, a search party found Uchenna. She was too weak to run. They brought her back to the village, tied with rough rope. The entire village of Ijenu gathered in the central clearing. Chief Obi presided. Nneka was alive, but she was carried out on a mat, so weak she could not sit. Her beautiful eyes were sad, her body frail. The chief asked Uchenna to confess before everyone. Broken and defeated, Uchenna did. She confessed her envy, her visit to Mama Ao, the poison in the water pot. The crowd listened in disgusted silence. When she finished, Chief Obi spoke. Uchenna, you have committed the worst crime, betrayal of family. You are banished from Ijenu forever. Never return. Your name will be forgotten here. Mama Ijeoma, her heart shattered, turned her face away. As they untied her to cast her out, Uchenna looked one last time at Nneka. Their eyes met. Nneka did not smile. She did not forgive. She simply looked, with a bottomless sadness that Uchenna knew would haunt her forever. Uchenna was shoved onto the road out of the village, with nothing but the clothes on her back. She walked away, a lonely figure on the red dust road, forever poisoned by her own envy. And the village learned that the cruelest poison does not come from a god, but from a jealous heart.